Welcome to the WalterFootball.com podcast. This is episode 322. We're doing our 2021 NFL free agency breakdown. Joined once again by Jacob Kamiker from NBC Sports Boston. Jacob, how are you?
I'm doing great. I've been enjoying NFL free agency the past couple of weeks. It's been pretty wild. I thought maybe with the cap crunch we'd get a slower start to free agency, but it picked up right away. So it was right off the bat, lots of dudes got signed. It was a lot of fun. Totally different NFL landscape now than it was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, a lot has changed. A lot of big money signings, a lot of small money signings too. It seems like it wasn't in between. Either guys got a ton of money or guys got no money at all. So we're gonna break everything down. We're going to go position by position rather than go free agent by free agent, because I feel like we'll be on the air for 5 hours if we do that. So that's not good. But yeah, it's nice to be back. We had off last week because I had my wisdom teeth removed and I couldn't talk. So that wouldn't have been good. It would have been ugly if I bled all over the place during the show. So please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Send this to someone who may like football and doesn't know about the show. All that would be great. Let's just dive into it. Let's start with the quarterbacks. I'm going to name the major signings, not like the 1 year, $1 million guys. Although it's not, there are none of that for quarterbacks, but yeah. So for quarterbacks, the major signings, we had the Patriots re-signed Cam Newton 1 year, $14 million. Texans signed Tyrod Taylor 1 year, $12.5 million. Saints re-signed Jameis Winston 1 year, $12 million. Bears the Bears signed Andy Dalton 1 year, $10 million. Redskins signed Ryan Fitzpatrick 1 year, $10 million, and then Bill signed Mitch Trubisky for 1 year, only $2.5 million. So out of those signings, what do you think was the best move? What do you think is the worst move, or any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm going to say probably the two best moves are Washington signing Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Bills getting Mitch Trubisky. Starting with Trubisky, he's just so cheap, and developing him behind Josh Allen seems like a no-brainer. He fits that system, a quarterback that can move. He can throw the ball, too. He'll have more weapons here, and he'll have more creative offense. So maybe Brian Daboll can unlock his potential there. And even if they don't, they're not taking much of a risk, and he's not going to be the starter. So, best case scenario, if he has to play, if there's a preseason, he plays really well, and they can flip him for a pick for a team that needs a starter and that uses a mobile quarterback. So I like that fit a lot. I also like Fitzpatrick's fit with Washington. They needed someone who could take downfield chances. The one thing that they lacked last year was a quarterback who could really throw downfield. Alex Smith did a good job of avoiding turnovers for the most part. He had a couple bad games, but they needed someone who would be able to get the most out of Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas, and now Curtis Samuel's there too. I think Fitzpatrick's going to provide them that. He's going to provide them veteran leadership, and I think that that's going to be big because they needed to replace Alex Smith in that locker room, and I think Fitzpatrick commands and demands respect. So I think that's a good fit on a 1 year, $10 million deal. And, now if they don't get one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the draft with their 19th pick, or if they don't feel confident in trading up, they at least have a good bridge. So I think those were my two favorite signings of the quarterbacks. The others, I like Cam Newton a little bit just because that's a heavily incentive-laden contract, and I think he still has potential. But I think at this point, he's not quite as good as those other two.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. Trubisky for $2.5 million is so cheap. Usually, an average backup quarterback will go for $4 million. He's only $2.5 million, and I have to think that he's better than the average backup quarterback, given the potential he had coming out of North Carolina. And I know he struggled with the Bears, but he's still young. He still has a lot of upside. And like you said, they can flip him for a draft pick and get something out of this. So I like the move a lot. I love the Fitzpatrick signing to have him as a veteran for Taylor Heineke to kind of get him developed. That I think is pretty key. Or whomever they draft, they could draft someone in the second round or first round or something. Just to have that veteran presence, like a better version of what they had last year with Alex Smith. I think that was great. And yeah, Cam Newton signing was pretty solid. I didn't expect it. I think both you and I thought that he would leave. And, I think it's fine to bring him back and to have him as a mentor for whomever they draft. I think that's perfectly fine. Look, he's probably going to start this year. until he gets hurt. I mean, unfortunately, that always happens. But if he can stay healthy, he's definitely going to pay off this salary. As for the worst of the quarterbacks, I think Tyrod Taylor going to the Texans for $12.5 million doesn't really make much sense. Now, we thought that the Texans were going to trade Deshaun Watson and they were going to draft someone with the pick they were going to get, one of the picks they were going to get for Watson. Now, Watson may not play at all, and it doesn't sound like they might be able to trade him for a while, depending on the lawsuits. I don't know. Like, we don't have all the facts, so I don't really want to speculate. But the Texans are super trapped right now, and they're going to be starting Tyrod Taylor for $12.5 million. Just seems terrible. And then Jameis Winston for $12 million. I don't really get it. I mean, Taysom Hill did a good job last year. I don't know why they need a backup quarterback for $12 million. So what do you think about those?
Yeah, so I'll weigh in first on the Saints situation there. Like, I understand wanting to bring Winston in to compete with Hill. I think the bigger issue there is that they paid Hill like a huge contract and have had to push money into further years. Now, granted, there's a lot of void years. Like, he's not getting paid like a true number one quarterback or anything. It just looks like it when you look at the ledger a little bit. But I don't understand why they would sign both of those guys and not just roll with one. They must be high enough on Winston that they want to give him a shot, which I can understand. I like Winston's potential, believe me. And maybe they want to keep Hill in that backup role where he can do all sorts of things on the field. If he loses the starting contest to Jameis Winston. But yeah, that was a little odd, specifically because the Saints are so cap strapped too and had to let some other people go and restructure contracts. And, a lot of people claim this time you're like, oh, they're restructuring contracts. Like, the cap isn't real. It's like, no, it is real. We do see it affect teams at times. It's just not all the time. And, sometimes you can move stuff around. So, and often what happens is you push cap debts into future years. So the Saints might just end up being screwed more down the line than they were even this year. So you got to be careful with the cap. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. But I do like Jameis Winston, the player. Tyrod Taylor, I didn't get that signing either. Like, I think he's one of the better backups in the league, but I don't know why he's worth $12.5 million this offseason, because I don't think he moves the needle for the Texans either. Like, sure, you're gonna have him start if Watson, continues to hold out and you can't trade him because of what's going on off the field with him. And I think as long as those issues are there, he will not be able to be traded. Again, I don't know all the facts there, but it's going to be difficult. So if you're stuck paying Deshaun Watson and Tyrod Taylor that much for a losing team, that's kind of that's not a good way to win. And GJL Reed just mentioned Andy Dalton, 1 year, $10 million deal. That was a little bit rich for me in terms of Andy Dalton's price. But the Bears apparently think he could be a good starter for them, or at least, he was the starter they could get because they wanted Russell Wilson, but he wasn't really available. So my dad likes Andy Dalton to the Bears. So take that for what it's worth. But I think he was a fine signing, but they paid too much for him.
Yeah, a little too much. I think it's fine. I didn't hate the signing. I didn't love it. It was okay. He can get the team to the playoffs if they build the offensive lineup, and it seems like they're going in that direction. The problem with the Bears is that they have the 20th pick in the draft. So they're not going to get one of the first round quarterbacks unless someone falls to them. Doesn't seem likely unless they move up. So they're probably stuck with Dalton for 1 year, and it's not like they have any alternatives. So I'm okay with it. I don't hate it, don't like it. So just move.